Thank you, everyone. I'm Medhi, Program Director in the Computer and Network Systems Division at NSF. Thank you for joining NIT Winter 21. It's a Fabric Community Workshop. As you know by now, NIT stands for Keeping Networks Innovative Together. NSF funded the Fabric project a bit more than 2 years ago to build a next generation network testbed within network computing and storage capabilities. FAB, or Fabric Across Borders, takes Fabric connectivity to international sites such as CERN, Europe and the East, to Japan, University of Tokyo in the West, and Chile in the Southern Hemisphere to connect to telescope facilities. This is important for new scientific discoveries, as you probably know, something like the black hole imaging that generated lots of telescope data. And so being able to also see how a network testbed within network storage and compute facilities can enable better functionalities. The Fabric platform is now in the middle of the first phase of connecting a number of sites, and I'm very pleased to see with the progress this testbed has done so far, despite the challenges that faced, such as the supply chain due to chip shortage, and of course the pandemic. So now experimenters can try out their ideas on the testbed, and at this point, on it at limited basis due to only a number of sites being rolled out in phase 1. So during the workshop, the Fabric and the Fab leadership team will demonstrate new platform highlights. Beta testers will showcase their early experiments and will demonstrate how to set up an experiment. Those new to the testbed are encouraged to join and listen to why the Fabric International Testbed is a perfect complement to their research or production development life cycle. So with that, I'm going to stop it here, and I thank you again for joining today in this workshop and tomorrow as well.
Thank you, Deep. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm Ilya Baldin. I'm the PI for the Fabric project. And so I'll just say a few things and show a few slides, and then we'll go on to the more interesting parts of the presentation. Sorry, I am working on the sharing. Here we go. Hopefully you can see my slides. Oh yeah, and I can see my slides. Very good. And then if I go to presentation mode, I'm not sure what happened. Let me exit that. Okay, so welcome to NIT, December 8th and 9th workshop. Can you guys see my presentation or not? Or did it just quit?
We cannot see anymore.
Okay, hang on one second, one more time. I saw it briefly and then it disappeared. How about now?
Yep, it's coming back up.
Excellent. Okay. A few things. We've changed our name. This workshop used to be known as a Fabric Community Workshop, but now in keeping with the Fabric overall theme, we decided to call it NIT, Keeping Networks Innovative Together. And part of the reason here is we really would like this to be larger than Fabric. We would like to be inclusive of other testbeds, of different types of experiments, and in general try to build a healthy, thriving community of experimenters. And so, you know, as a meeting place, we want it to be about network experiments large. You know, whatever your definition of a network experiment is, we'd like to be able to talk about it and hopefully serve it. Our plan is to continue meeting twice a year, and hopefully we'll start meeting more in person soon. While these virtual workshops are convenient in the sense of lack of travel, they also kind of take away a lot of the networking opportunities that we lose on just not being able to talk to each other. So anyway, some upcoming highlights from the next couple of days. We're going to talk about progress. We've made a lot of progress. We've been very busy, and Paul will cover some of that in the next presentation. We'll do demos. We'll do student showcase. We'll do by popular demand, we'll do experiment whiteboarding. This has been this was a popular session last time. We're hoping for similarly popular and well-attended session this time, where we just talk about how one would set up an experiment. Maybe you're an experimenter who doesn't know how to run an experiment on a test bed. Let's talk about this. Let's figure it out. More test beds. Again, as I said, we see NIT as a place to meet and talk about more than just Fabric. So we'll talk about Federation, we'll talk about other test beds, we'll talk about other facilities. We'll talk about dangerous experiments. We'll talk about data and data privacy. We'll talk about P4, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data, and much, 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 much more. So we have a packed agenda, and I'm looking forward to it. A few expectation settings here. First of all, what do we want from it, the Fabric team? Well, first of all, we want to communicate our growing capabilities. We want to make sure everybody understands that while intellectually Fabric is rooted in Genie, this is not Genie 2.0. The scope of Fabric is much, much larger. We would like to continue building a healthy community of experimenters and partners, facility partners, other types of partners. We want to understand better the growing set of requirements for the testbed, because it's both an instrument and a connector of resources. Eventually, we're working towards the vision of a testbed of testbeds. What's in it for you? Well, a clearer understanding of how to run your experiment on Fabric, hopefully, and possibly other testbeds. If you represent a facility, how you can partner with us to create a richer substrate for complex experiments for others. What NSF, DEEP, and others hope for, I think would like to give NSF a sense of a growing testbed community through these workshops, better understanding of the needs of this community, including data, measurements, new types of research, etc. Because so much of the building process happens behind the scenes, and most of you aren't exposed to it and don't know it, I thought I'd insert this little slide here just to talk about the things that we go through daily while building Fabric. And I'm fully aware that we're mixing metaphors here, talking about Fabric and sausage in the same sentence. So first of all, one of the things that we worked a lot on this year is enabling IPv6 support. Many of the Fabric sites are connected to, for the management connectivity, only via IPv6. Many of you, most of you, are probably still on IPv4 networks, and that's a problem. So we've solved that problem. We were able to address it by introducing bastion hosts that experimenters go through in order to get to their virtual machines. And this both addresses a security issue as well as the connectivity issue. Almost all the services we have in Fabric are dual stacked. They are reachable from IPv4 and IPv6. And by the way, a tidbit, did you know that you cannot reach GitHub on IPv6? Not possible. Docker Hub only in October finally opened an IPv6 beta connectivity, and we expect that many experimenters store their code on GitHub or store their Docker images in Docker Hub, and that is a problem if you're trying to reach them from an IPv6 site only. So these problems have been addressed. We are very happy to see our first DWDM native Fabric links up, one between NCSA site and Starlight site, and the other is from University of Michigan site to also to Starlight site. We expect more to come on, but these are the first native 100 gig DWDM links that Fabric is starting to offer. And a big shout out to Merit and NCSA ICCN. These are regional providers in Michigan and Illinois, respectively, for working with us and making this possible. Today, we have 13 sites that are up. Out of them, 3 are in commercial colo locations, and commercial colo locations are difficult to work with. Each one required a 30-page individualized set of installer instructions that we had to prepare and then make sure that the installers followed. So if you see these pictures on the right, to go from this neat pile of boxes, which is one site, to this neatly installed hardware, which is on the second picture, takes a lot of work, both in preparation and in actual installation. Each site, even a small site, has something like 40 cables if you count all power cables, network cables, serial cables, USB cables, and each one of them has to be plugged into the right place into work. So we have this finely orchestrated process to deliver the equipment and have it installed and powered up at these colo locations. So what remains of phase 1 is 5 sites are delayed by COVID chip shortage. We're expecting them to arrive at the respective locations sometime in January, February. Our DWDM core infrastructure is similarly delayed until about that same time. And just again, as just some tidbits, we managed to lose one server in a flash flood. Who knew that building a testbed could be so risky? It's being replaced by the vendor. We had a switch damage in transit. You can see this in the picture here, these bent connectors. And we got a few $100 out of FedEx for damaging this very expensive switch for us. And we also had a damaged PDU plug. You can see the charred wiring here. So it's been an eventful year, but we've been able to deal with these issues. Finally, a few reminders. Please remember to join the Slack community channel right here. This is the URL. Again, backed by popular demand, there's an experimenter's whiteboard session tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern. Please come. Let's diagram what experiment might look like and figure out how we can make it work. Throughout the workshop, if you get bored, if you just want to take a break from the presentations, come out to the lounge. It's set up just like you would have a lounge at a regular conference or workshop, except it's virtual, it's digital. There are tables. You can see who's sitting at those tables. Sit down and talk to them. Fabric leadership will be there. Other experimenters will be there. If you find an interesting person, sit down and talk to them. Okay, and I think with that, I will stop and hand it over back to Brittany.
All right, thank you, Ilya. We were going to move into a social, but for the interest of time, we're just going to move past that, and we'll go straight into Paul's session. So this is the end of the welcome session. If you go onto your schedule tab, you can move into the next session, which is the demo itself. But I just wanted to reiterate what Ilya was saying, which is at any point during the workshop or during the breaks, and especially during the focus groups, we'll be using the lounge. So during the breaks, click on over, get familiar with joining those tables. And if you have any question, there is a help desk in the lounge where you can ask questions. So with that, we'll see you all into the next session. Bye, everyone.